So I quickly want us to work on displaying the users that we can talk to or we can have conversations with. So right around here, so displaying the people that we can talk to, right? I want us to quickly work on that. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is, let me zoom in. Yeah, then the first thing we want to do is we want to come into the actions here, and we want to create an action called a get users. So get users.ts. Then inside this get users.ts that we have here, what we want to do is we want to first of all do this RAFCE so that we don't have to like rewrite everything again. Alright, then right after doing that, what we want to do is we can just clear this one, no need. Then what we want to do is we want to say const session is equal to await get session, right? Then we just initialize it like this. Let's make sure that this is an asynchronous function, and we can just await. Then right after doing that, we want to come below here and then write a condition. So we just check, we say if there is no session dot user dot email, right, then we want to do it, we want to return an empty array. Okay, then right after that we want to come down and then write this try catch block, and in case there's an error we want to make sure we are returning an empty array, but if there's none, we want to make sure that we are getting all the users, and then so we are getting all the users by using the array, by using the await, and then we say prisma, and then this prisma we are going to be getting from the prisma db. Okay, so how are we going to be getting it? We are going to first of all import prisma from app slash the @app slash libs slash prisma db. Nice one. Then right after importing that, we can just use it here. So prisma dot what user dot find mini. All right, then we can do it order by, then we use the created at but the descending way. Okay, so we want to be able to order all the users by the time that they were created, by like in a descending order. All right, so the latest create, like the users that were created earlier would be on top, and then the ones that were created later would be below. So no, the ones that were created later will be on top, so it's like the latest users, that's what I'm trying to say. The latest users will be on top, and then the earlier ones will be below. Yeah, so this is where English becomes a little bit backwards, but you just speak it anyways. So I'll just use the not, and then so we have the session dot user dot email. Now what this is saying is, while you are getting all the users for us to be able to talk to them, we want to make sure that you exclude the current logged in users email, right? Because we don't want to make sure that we are not trying to talk to ourselves, right? Like you don't want to display users and display yourselves, because I'm not trying to have a conversation with yourself. That is just going to cause a whole lot of trouble and a whole lot of complexity that we have to be working with. So even if it doesn't cause that complexity, it just doesn't make sense to, like, text yourself type of thing. So so I'm just going to leave that, and we'll just come here and I'll just return users. So yeah, that is basically it. So right after doing this, we want to quickly go into the layouts. So I'll just bring this, then we'll go to the users and then the layout over here. Okay, then what we want to do is we want to quickly come here on top of this children here, and then we just create like this user list, right? This user list component. Okay, then we make sure that we are passing in a prop called items, and then this item is going to be what? Users. And then where are we going to be getting these users from? We are going to get the users from those actions that we created. So we say const what? Users is going to be equal to what? I'm sorry, I have a little code. So get users, and just import that. Then you can see we'll obviously get errors. So in order for us to be able to fix this, we need to create the user list. So let us quickly create a components folder inside the users folder. So components folder inside the users folder. Then inside the components folder, we want to create the user list .tsx, right? User list.tsx. Then we just use our RFC to generate some template code, and we can just import it just so we can keep working without the error noise. So right after doing this, we want to go into the user list, and then we want to start working on a couple of things. So first of all, we want to make sure that this user list is what? Use client. So use client, and we want to come down here, and then we want to quickly come and import a couple of things, right? So first thing is we want to import what? The user from Prisma client over here, nice and clean. Then right after doing that, we want to come down here and then write our interface. Okay, so say interface user list props, then inside we would say what? The items is obviously going to take its type from what? The users, the user, and then we just make sure that it is in the form of an array. Okay, so that we can just display them nicely. So now that we have been able to set this up, what we need to do is we need to make sure that our component here recognizes the interface props that we made over there. So we'll just take the react, so react.fc, then we say what? User list props. Then right after making this available and then setting the object over here, or setting the prop over here, right, we want to quickly come inside this return, clean it up like this, open the brackets, and then we can continue working. So what we want to first of all do is we want to use this semantic element. Okay, then in this aside element, what we want to do is we pass in a few class names, right? We pass in a few class names. So the class names are a lot, so you are going to do it vertically like how we usually do. So we say fixed, then we say insert dash y dash 0, then we say pb20, okay, pb20, right? Then we make sure that we say lg pb0, lg pb0, lg left, lg left 20, then we say what, lg w80, then we say what, lg block, then we say what, border r, then we say what, border gray, $200, then we say what, block, and then we say what, w full, then left 0, left 0. Okay, nice and clean. Then right after setting this up over here, what we want to quickly do is we want to come inside it, then we say this div, right? We'll give it this div, then inside this div over here we bring in the class name, and I'll just say px5, then inside this px5 div we just pass in what, flexco div inside, then inside this flexco div we can pass in our text 2xl, so text 2xl, then we say what, font bold, then we say what, text neutral 800, okay, text neutral 800, and then we say the last one is what, py4. Nice. Then right after doing that, we make sure that inside it we pass in a text that says what, people. Nice. Okay, so we can see that it's kind of entering inside, so let me just expand it a tad bit. Okay, close the other one. Okay, so you can see it peek out just right here. Then right under here, the people that we created down here, we want to come under this people div, and then we want to come under the people div, and then the div that is under that, so basically this one, right? So let's close that one out. So under this div, right, then we want to come and say that let's take the items dot map, so let's map through all the users that we are passing in, and let's pick up each item, that is each user, and let's quickly, then we'll open up this brackets or this parentheses, and then we pass in user box component, right, of which we are about to create. All right, so user box component of which we are about to create, then I'll just set the key to be the item dot id, then I'll make sure that the data is going to be what? The item. Nice and clean. So right after doing this, we want to make sure we come inside the components folder here, and then we create the user box component here, just so we can get rid of the error. Alright, so inside here I'll just say our AFCE, then we can just come and import it here so we can get rid of the error. Nice. So right after doing this, right after doing this, we want to go inside this user box that we have here. Okay, yeah, so you're going to go inside this user box. Now if you don't have, like, a lot of you might not see any user box being shown here, right? And like that is going to be because you just have only your account inside the database. Like, so it's just only your account, right? So if I refresh, you see that there are basically other users that are not me, my email, my current logged in email here, right? So in such a situation, you get to show the other users that are not your logged in email here, right? So if we are able to pass in all the data into their relative or their respective elements, you see that this nice user here would be displayed over here, nice and clean. So in case you want to see yours, what you can do is you can just log out like this, and then you can come and create a new account and say something like better test user or better user, or like just normal test user, right? Test user, then test user at gmail.com. then we say what? Test user, of course. Then we just what? Register. So the account should be created successfully, and it should basically take you, so you can see that more users, so the user box thing has doubled, right? So yeah, understanding this, we can now move on. So inside this user box over here, what we want to first of all do is we want to take the prop, right? So what we passed, we want to take it here. Then we want to make sure that we are defining an interface or the types for the prop. So we say this interface is going to be what? User box props. Then inside here we set the data to be what? User. Okay, nice and clean. Then right after, we're going to come here and then say what? React.fc okay, react.fc over here, and then right after doing this, we are quickly going to come inside here. Okay, then we would say const router is going to be equal to what? Use router. And then we are going to be taking that from next/navigation, nice and clean. Then right after that, we want to come here and then create this is loading for now. So is loading set is loading, and use state, then we initialize it with false. Now this reminds me of something that we're supposed to work on. I think it should be inside the desktop sidebar, and is it? No, I'm sure it will be desktop item. I'm sure like some of you are still having one of your files highlighting red, and I'm trying to figure out where it was supposed to be. Yes, yes. So inside your sidebar, that when we are passing in the prop here, this one is basically most of your sidebars are hitting red, right? That's because we need to be able to tell TypeScript that yes, the current user can also be null, right? So because of that, you can just put the exclamation mark here, right? So that it tells TypeScript that yeah, current user is current user, but like it could also be null. Okay, so you can see, you can even see it here. So yeah, that's it. All right, so after doing this, right, after doing this, what we want to quickly do is we want to quickly come here and then write the function for this. So we want to say whenever we click on a user to try to start a conversation, let us write the functionality for it. So this one is quickly going to be a use callback actually. Then this use callback is going to have like a couple of things. Now the first thing is we're going to make an API call. So we say Axios, but I guess we need to import Axios, so we just imported it. Then we say Axios dot what dot post. Then we are going to say that go to the API slash conversations. Then okay, yeah, we need to basically pass empty dependency here, the empty dependency array here, so that we can be safe in the meantime. Then yeah, so right after this, API slash conversations, you want to bring this comma, and then you want to open this up and then say that the user ID should have what, or the conversations user ID should have the current user dot ID here, right? Or the yeah, so the user data dot ID. So it's like you're creating all these conversations and you're making sure that the user ID fields contain the data that we are receiving here for each user's ID. Nice and clean. So right after understanding this concept or working around this, we want to make sure that we come here and then we pass the then, and then we say that what data, this then is taking the data, and we basically want to do this router dot push, right? So router dot push, then we want to basically go into the conversations page, right? But not just any conversation page, the conversations page that belongs to this particular user, or that belongs to both of you. So it's going to be what data dot id. Nice and clean. So right after doing this, we want to make sure that we apply the what finally. Then so finally, then we say what it's going to be what set is loading to be what false. Nice one. So right after doing this, what we want to quickly do is we want to come here and then we set the dependency to be the data and then the router. Nice one. So right after setting this up, we want to come inside here and then we are going to basically create the UI for it. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to create this div, right? So this div is basically what is going to wrap around everything, and we are going to make sure that when we click on it, it is going to handle click for us. Okay, so that's what is going to help us create the conversations. Then we say class name, then we pass in a long list of class names. So we need to make it vertical, right? So we say what? W dash full relative, w dash full relative flex item center, then what? Space x3, then what? bg height, then p3, then hover bg neutral 100, then rounded lg, transition, then cursor pointer. Nice one. So right after doing this, right, what we want to do is inside here we want to pass in the avatar. So here we can pass in the avatar. So it's going to be what? This avatar that we created, and we are going to basically pass in. So we are saying that it's going to be user, then so inside the user prop we just want to pass in the data. Okay, so it needs to recompile. So yeah, so you can see, right, you can basically see that it is basically listing all the users that we have inside the database that we can have a conversation with, and you can see that we are almost done with that. So under here, what we want to do is we want to create this div that is going to be having the mean dash w dash 0. Then we come here and then say what? Flex 1, right? Then inside this, what we want to do is we want to create this other div that has what? Focus outline. Okay, focus outline none. Okay, then we create this. Then inside we want to have this div that has a flex class name as its first class name here. So flex, then justify between item center, then what? mb1. Nice one. So right after doing this, we want to make sure that we are passing in the p. Then so inside the p tag we want to pass what? The data dot what? Name, right? Then we make sure we pass in a few class names here. So we say this class name is going to have what? Text sm, right? Font medium, and you say what? Text gray 900, and then that should basically do it for us. So let's quickly refresh so that it recompiles, and then so it can display what it has to display for us. So I'm trying to recompile this. For some reason it's being slow. Okay, so it's recompiling, and then you can see that we have you can see that we basically have these users here that we can quickly create a conversation with. Okay, nice and clean. Now that we've been able to work with this is basically us making or creating the list of users we can have conversations with. If we want to quickly go through a summary of this, we first of all came to create action here that gets all the users but excludes the current logged in users email from the user data or the users data. And then we come inside the layout here and then come and pass this component, which is the user list. Then we make sure that this user list holds a prop which has the name items, and then we passed in these users that we got using this action inside. We pass in the users inside, so it receives this users array through the prop, and then basically maps them through here using the user box component that we also create here, so which is this one. And then for each user box we made sure that we styled it in a certain way which looks exactly like this nice one. So right after working with this, making it look like this, I feel like we are good to go. So in the next video we are basically going to be working on the conversations, and so I would love to see you in the next one.